Would you all give a really badass welcome for Courtney Simpkiss?
Wow, there's a lot of you. All right, let's do this. Okay, that haircut. You know the one I'm talking about, right? That haircut that we've all always saw. That one. That haircut that you thought you just absolutely had to have. It would look so amazing on you. We've all done this before. It was 1998. I was a senior in college. I was waiting in tables at Palomino, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Now, see, up to that point, I was crystal clear I wanted to go to law school. And yet something inside of me was telling me that that wasn't really the right thing. So I cut my hair. Because when we don't know what else to do, we cut our hair, right? I mean, really, like, what's the worst thing unless you're Erica Ballard, which it looks amazing, you can end up in that. But what if we could actually, anytime we're facing a really tough decision or a major life change, what if we could manifest that optimism that we find when we get the curiosity to actually cut our hair? So going back to that moment in college, so I was a senior, and like I said, I was dead set on going to law school. But something in my belly just was telling me it wasn't the right thing. I had done all the things I was supposed to do. I had amazing grades. I had been accepted to law school. And yet, I was ready to walk away from that. And worse, while I knew it wasn't the right thing for me, there was this little nagging voice in my head that kept telling me, oh gosh, what are people going to think of you? Worrying about what everybody was going to think. Because I didn't have a good answer for why I didn't want to go to law school, and I didn't really know what I was going to do next. I had some friends that were in sales, so that looked kind of cool. And so I thought I might explore doing that. Well, when you have a degree in criminal justice and you've waited tables in college, it's not like people line up to give you interviews. I could not get an interview to save my life. Finally, I did. And while my first job in sales wasn't exactly as glamorous as some of my friends' jobs were, because I sold spoilers to car dealerships, you know, those things that are on the end, not so great. But it did ultimately lead me down the path to what was my dream job at ADP. It was everything that I had ever thought of and so much more than this farm girl from Indiana could have ever imagined. I got to travel through President's Club trips and places all over the world that I never thought I would see. I got to work with some of the most incredible leaders and mentors and supporters, and I had amazing results. And I was promoted a lot. I ended up in the top 1% of all leaders at ADP. So when Tim Lehman called me and said, hey, I've got this opportunity I want to introduce you to. I think you'd be a really great fit to be a partner at Gibson. Once again, I was facing a really scary decision. The thing is that I knew is I had been at ADP for almost 14 years, had reached this pinnacle of position, and I was traveling all the time. And I knew to continue down this path, I would be missing out on relationships, valuable time in my daughter's life, and I just wasn't willing to sacrifice that. So I chose being 100% me and being 100% the mom I wanted to be and this entrepreneur I wanted to be over that 1%. There are those times when we're so afraid to make a decision, and believe me, I have had them, and I have wished somebody would just tell me what to do. Can we get a moment of silence for that? Fortunately, yet maybe even frustratingly at times, even my own mom wouldn't tell me what to do. Her motto has always been, what's the worst that can happen? She has the best attitude about what's possible in life. And even when things are uncertain, that doesn't mean they're not worth doing. when society makes us believe that we have to have it all figured out, it can feel absolutely paralyzing. I think it comes down to this. There are two types of people in the world, according to Elizabeth Gilbert anyway. There are jackhammers and hummingbirds. Jackhammers are those people that so clearly know what they want to do that they are pursuing it day in and day out with relentless focus and purpose. And then there are hummingbirds, those people that move from tree to tree, flower to flower, looking for their meaning, all the while actually fulfilling it by cross-pollinating the world with the experiences that they take from one place to the next. Maybe I'm a little bit of both. But I think a lot of people would call me as a hummingbird in a lineup if they saw me in one. But I think curiosity can serve both of us. Whether you're searching for that next thing after you've been going after a goal relentlessly and you're not really sure what that's going to be, or if you are still trying to figure it all out, you can point your toes toward that thing that you're curious about and take a leap and try something new. I've had the fortune to be able to work with some of the most amazing people in my career that have encouraged me to do that. I've had some amazing mentors. One of them calls that trust your curiosity or build a backup plan, this notion of having a blueprint for an escape pod. I love that idea. Another mentor of mine at ADP, when I was going through some darker times, she said, you know what, Courtney, you need to just put 10% of your energy every week in following something that you're interested in or curious about outside of the job that you already have. She was also that same person that when I told her I was leaving ADP to go to Gibson, she said, you absolutely need to do this. You have to trust yourself because you'll regret it if you don't. I've seen so many times where I wished that I knew what was next, and I know many of us have fallen into that same category. But what if we just took some of the pressure off of those outcomes and trusted our curiosity a little bit more when we were looking for that next thing? Now, when we were writing our stories, and I was asked the question, what's kept me from sharing mine up to this point? It was because I hadn't really figured it all out. And then, I realized that's the whole point of it. I don't know what's next, and many of us don't. I mean, how ironic is that? I was trying to. Here's the thing. We have all faced uncertainty. We've all made major, scary decisions in our lives. Think back to a moment when you did that. Right now. Whether that was starting a new job, a new relationship, a new school, or getting a new haircut, you took a leap of faith, even when you didn't know how it was going to work out. You trusted your curiosity, and it led you to the next thing and to the next thing. We're all going to have moments like that again. I want you to remember back to that time when you trusted your curiosity, even when you didn't know how or when it would come together. Because I believe when you do that and you move towards that next thing, that's ultimately where you find your meaning and your purpose. Thank you.